Hey everyone, it's Caroline, and today I'm really excited to talk to you about one of my favorite topics, as you well know, goal setting. And I want to focus specifically on what I believe to be the critical first step of any solid set of goals. And that first step is visioning. And I think there's a couple reasons why this drops out of most people's goal setting process. First of all, it's been drummed into us that our goals need to be SMART, right? They need to be measurable and specific and achievable, whatever, the whole acronym. And it just kind of, when we start from that place, I think it just grinds all of the word whimsy just popped into my mind, but the imagination, the emotion, the connection to like why we actually want to achieve this goal, why it's so important to us, right? And we just get left with these really kind of uninspiring goals. The other thing that I think often happens is, visioning is hard for people, especially if you're not in a great place in your career or life. It can be really hard to kind of step back and say, oh my gosh, what if anything is possible, right? Because probably very few things seem possible right now if you're not in a solid place right now. And so people want to avoid that. So I'm going to hopefully take you through an exercise today that can kind of help you suspend disbelief, lean into the inspiration and what you really want, and then start to connect that to ways in which you can actually then take this big, beautiful vision that might seem impossible, might seem like a fairy tale, and actually connect it to things, problems to solve, questions to answer, and steps that you can actually take. So perhaps you've done vision boards. If you like vision boards, go ahead and do those. For the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to invite you to actually take pen to paper. Or pencil to paper. And I would even say don't do it on your phone, don't do it on the computer. Like let's lean into handwritten. There's something magical that happens when we kind of use our hand to write down and get something on the page. And it's also my personal belief. I don't know if you know like the psychological reason for this, definitely share it in the comments below. But I think with a vision board, like they're cool. I do them, love them. But I think there's a really important connection when we are writing in first person about ourselves, using our own words, maybe drawing some pictures or doodles ourselves, versus kind of taking something from a magazine or taking something from online. There's a personalization that happens and an ownership that happens when we do write this down. So first exercise, I'm gonna invite you, set the timer for 5 minutes. Go to a happy place. I wouldn't advise you to sit at your work desk. If you have a fireplace, sit by the fire, sit in a cozy room, sit in the sun, go sit outside, weather permitting. Just really ensconce yourself in a comfortable place and just for 5 minutes, take yourself through a year from now. What do you really want for yourself in your life, in your career, in your relationships, with your health, right? And it's really, really important not to self-censor. Of course, it's gonna feel like a big fairy tale, right? That's the whole point of this, to lean into that big picture thinking and inspiration. Don't worry, I will help you actually bring it back into something that you can kind of access and find a way into. So 5 minutes, time yourself, and come back when you're done. All right, okay, so how was that exercise? Hopefully you let yourself go. Again, so many people, when I ask them to do this sort of thing, they're like, oh, I'm not good at that sort of thing, right? And just kind of the negative self-talk starts right away. And then when they actually give themselves an opportunity to do it, they're so good. Like I'm such a monster. I made my mom, I took my mom through this exact exercise at the beginning of this year because I was at her house. And she's like, oh, I'm so bad at this. I'm so bad at this. But her stuff was fire. Like I was like, dang, maybe you need to come do a video or two. So give yourself credit. Like, you have more answers, then you realize you are better at this than you think. It's just that kind of fear part of your brain that's acting up. All right, so step 2, I want you to go back through what you just wrote in your vision. And I want you to highlight, underline, whatever. Use pretty markers, use highlighters, use stickers if you want. Circle every time you've mentioned a feeling, right? Or how you expect to feel doing a certain activity. And if you haven't written that actual feeling out, go back and insert it, right? And this is a short one, just take 2 minutes, right? It can be really, really quick. Don't overthink it. Just connect with, oh, I'm gonna be in this great new job where I feel like I can learn from people and grow. Okay, how does that make you feel, right? Again, it's not the time to self-judge or critique the words that come to mind or the phrases that come to mind. Just write them down and then come back here. How did that go? Hope it went well for you. I'm gonna just read some of the examples from what I did to hopefully kind of get the juices flowing if you struggled a little bit. So here are the words. I'm not even gonna tell you what I wrote. I'm just gonna read off some of the feeling words that I had. Excited. This isn't really a feeling word, but luxuriate. So one of the big things that's in every single one of my visioning activities, whether I do it daily or as like an annual exercise, is like my waking up process. Like to me, it is the most luxurious thing ever to wake up without an alarm and just lie in bed for as long as I feel like it before I get up. Right? So it's just lying in the sun. Maybe I'm like thinking or replaying some of my dreams. Maybe I'm daydreaming a little bit. Like to me, this is pure luxury. So it's in every single visioning statement that I do. If it's not for you, great, but that's where luxuriate comes from. I feel adored, proud, fulfilled, happy, peaceful and abundant. I'm gonna come back to peaceful in a minute. There's proud again, worthy, safe. Safety's a big theme for me. What do I need to do to feel safe? Beautiful, excited again. So what's important about this, right? This is probably the most important thing that you can do as you're thinking about goal setting. And I'm gonna talk to you for a minute about something I learned in coaching school, which blew my mind and has forever stuck with me. And that's the difference between a strategy and a goal, right? And so what most of us do is we set the goal, right? Oh, the goal is to get in the best shape of our lives. The goal is to get a new job or start a new career. The goal is to find a new relationship, right? And we associate, whether we recognize it or not, we associate that goal with a feeling. Oh, well, once I'm in that job, I'm gonna be free from anxiety, right? I'm gonna feel at peace. I'm gonna feel adored or loved. I'm gonna feel free. I'm gonna feel peaceful. So when I first did this exercise, as you know, one of my big goals is to move to Hawaii. And what I associate with Hawaii more than anything is a feeling of peace, right? And what I learned when I did this was, okay, Hawaii is one strategy to feel peaceful. That's one way. But I can also do 20 different things every single day to feel peaceful, right? And feeling peaceful is the actual goal, right? My goal is to feel peaceful. Still want to move to Hawaii, still want to follow through on that strategy, but I could also move to Hawaii and be miserable and anxious, right? I've lived in some of the coolest places in the world and have still been sad and lonely and anxious and all of those other things. So what we're doing here is we're decoupling the thing, the destination, the widget from the true goal. And the goal is the feeling. So hopefully you really take this on board. It's one of the most important things, and it's really what's gonna transform your goals from something that is mechanical and rigid that you might achieve versus really getting underneath the goal. And yeah, achieve the goal, but also be open to a bunch of different habits and goals and opportunities that can also come your way on the way to the stated strategy, like move to Hawaii. So hopefully that lands for you. So let's move on to the next step. So the third part of this exercise, of course, you have this big, beautiful vision, right? I sent out an email last week, I'll link it below, but I did this with one of the first clients I ever worked with, and she had this amazing vision. There were like trips to Paris. There were like marquee clients she was working with. She was getting opportunities with brands that wanted to partner with her. It was just like this big, beautiful vision, right? And the only challenge was like none of this really existed in reality, right? It was in her head, which was beautiful, by the way. So this next step is about, okay, in order for this vision to happen, what are the questions I need to answer? What are the things I need to figure out? So things I need to figure out. So one big goal of mine this year is I would love to be able to take a month out of the year to just kind of go to a different time zone, like a drastically different time zone, like go to Bali, south of France. And right now, I could probably technically do that, but I'd have to kind of shuffle client appointments around. Like I would probably have to get up like super early or late at night to do calls. And that just doesn't feel aligned with my business either for myself, or, I don't want my clients to have to deal with my travel logistics. So one of the questions I need to figure out is, what is my plan for, being able to take a month out with zero impact to the people that I support? And also somewhere, how do I make that be someplace warm? So it's a question. I don't know the answer right now. I don't know the answer, but I know that in itself is kind of a goal when you think about it, right? Or maybe it's several goals, but it's like, okay, yes, I have this big, beautiful vision, and I have some questions that I need to answer or things I need to figure out. Let's set the timer for 5 minutes and go ahead and pause this and write the questions you need to answer or the things you need to figure out to make this vision a reality. Next step, I love this step. This next step is, what are the actions I could take right now? Right? Okay, now you've written this beautiful vision. Let's say there are trips to Paris. Let's say you own a boat. You're going on yachting trips, right? And this is why it's really important to also highlight the feelings and the why behind the big, beautiful vision. I want you to take 5 minutes again, and I want you to write down, what are the actions you could take right now that are in service to these goals? So let me give you a few examples just to make this crunchy, just you're not like, oh, Caroline, are you telling me I need to buy a yacht? No, I'm not telling you need to buy a yacht. So, okay, so in my vision, I have a chef. I have a private chef that cooks for me. This is not in my reality right now, but it's something that's really important to me. So one of my things I could do right now, okay, what's really behind the chef? Well, it's about eating a lot of vegetables, eating really healthy, and getting away from, I'm just feeling like my eating routine is like very monotonous and dull. So I wrote down Daily Harvest. I'm gonna try out a food delivery service, and have my meals made for me. Ain't a private chef, but it's something I can get excited about that serves the healthy purpose, and I don't have to cook. So that's another benefit. Another thing, right? Okay, so I wanna figure out a way to move halfway around the world for 1 month. Well, one thing I can do right now is I can plan a trip someplace warm, right? I don't have to think about moving. I don't have to think about, my business model or moving that stuff around. Right now, I can plan a trip. And the last thing I'll share is, I'm feeling disconnected and really I want to lean into community and relationships, especially the last couple years of extreme isolation. So I'm going to have 2 friend catch-ups. I'm going to be really diligent about making sure I have 2 friend catch-ups every single week, right? So hopefully that gives you some examples of how you can move in service, right, to these goals without have it be buy a yacht. Okay, that feels very unrealistic right now. Okay, so give it a try and let me know what you come up with. All right, we are now to our 5th and final step. And I'm just looking here how much time we're gonna give this. Another 2 minutes, right? You are gonna say, We've written this big, beautiful vision. We've talked about feelings and the emotional connection. We've gotten hopefully some crunchy answers about, you know, what are the questions I still have? What do I need to figure out? Gotten some immediate actions you can take. And we're gonna round it out with, okay, let's zoom way out, right? Hopefully you've got a lot of really beautiful detail, but if you had to step back and say, what is this year really about? And again, this is not about creating goals or SMART goals, just answer the question, right? With whatever comes to mind. So take 2 minutes and just write that down. Freeform, don't judge, don't censor, and I'll share some thoughts from what came up for me. All right, so I wrote down, you know, what is this year really about? Trip someplace warm, friend time, new and old. Like it's really, especially because I tend to being a workaholic and it's easy to stay in my apartment and work all the time, really prioritizing friend time and making sure that happens. Scale my business so I can step away, especially to a different time zone that doesn't wreak havoc on my business. And expand my business offerings to cultivate networking opportunities and support the people I work with to get to the next level of their career, even beyond our initial work together. So that's what came up for me. And again, if you listen to those aren't really SMART goals at all, but they're distilled in a way that now I have some themes that are really about what's most important. And from here, hopefully you can now take these exercises. You have your big vision, you know how you want to feel, which are your real goals. Remember, you have some immediate things that you can do. You have the questions that are still need to answer these, still need to figure them out. And now you have, okay, when I step back, here's what this year is really about for me. So now you can take all these things, and of course there's a whole bunch of other steps that you can take to make them into SMART goals, to make them into habits, but hopefully what you're starting to see, and again, I think this is a really important piece of goal setting, hopefully you see all the layers and levels and directions we are coming at this. Like we have a big, lofty vision that's all like sparkles and dream time. And then we have it really grounded in, well, what are the immediate things I can do to start to walk the path towards this? We have that distillation of, well, if it's really about friend time, right? Well, now I can start setting some really crunchy goals about spending more time with friends, right? And now that I also have it condensed into what's most important, now I can start seeing connections. Well, maybe it's about taking some trips with friends. Maybe it's about having friends cook meals for me. I'm just making that up. But you know, you can start to see the interplay between how could I really bring these goals to life in a fun way. So I would love to hear your thoughts and comments. Please also let me know like where you got stuck, what questions you have, what you need to move forward. Like I said, I love goal setting, so I could make a bunch of videos about this. So leave your comments below in terms of what resonated and what questions you still have, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.